The shoulders can move out, over, up, back in a stable position, in a pulling motion, in a pushing motion, controlling down, controlling across, and controlling rotation. And because the biceps have fibers that attach to the shoulder, I like to train them on a bench or in the air. And because the triceps also have fibers that attach to the shoulder, I also like to train them on a bench or in the air. And because the weaker the hand and wrist are, the more stress is placed on the shoulder joint, I also like to do wrist flexion, wrist extension, hand grip, and hand raise. This is the ATG Science Shoulder Lab. 18 exercise total, 13 exercises per session with a few cycled every other week. If I ever was unfortunate enough to succumb to any sort of shoulder issue, this is the exact routine I'd use to get myself back. Drawing inspiration from my background as a doctor of physical therapy, combined with my background as an ATG coach, I believe this routine, although not perfect, can absolutely help to improve one's shoulder ability. Shoulder issues can often manifest from a lack of ability, which is a term referring to having the skill to perform something. If the shoulder has trouble moving through any of these motions, then good luck operating in life in any of these motions without pain. Conversely, although not a guarantee because pain science can get quite complex, but for the most part, if you do have the ability to move your shoulder in these motions, then pain will have a hard time appearing in your shoulder. We need the capacity of our shoulders in all of these positions to exceed the demand of the life stressors placed onto them. Let's see how you measure up. Step 0 is shoulders out. Simply get a resistance band, rotate your shoulders backwards so your thumbs are pointing behind you, and pull the band out. You can adjust the initial starting point position of the band to activate different portions of the posterior shoulder. Do this for 20 reps. Step 1 is shoulders over. There's 3 different variations depending on ability. Easiest is with a wall or with a pole. Harder is with a wall or a pole with weight, and hardest is on a bench. For the first variation, all you're going to do, either on a pole like this or on a wall like this, grip that surface, step back with the same leg on the arm side that's working, while gripping the surface, lower down, trying to get your shoulders to come past your head, and then pull up with that arm. To make this even easier, you can use hand assistance with the other arm and just lower down to what you could tolerate without pain, mobilizing what's tight and restricted, going lower and lower with time. Simply make it harder by adding a weight in the off hand so you can mobilize even further. Then hardest is arms over on a back bench or just a normal bench, hips below shoulders, arms overhead, aiming for elbows below shoulders. Reach all the way behind yourself with the dumbbell and then come back to the top position. But again, even this scales. You can just use your hands to groove into what's pain-free for you. Now, even this hardest variation can scale. Incline makes it easier, decline, lower, and lower to make it harder, and then swap the bench around doing the cross version to make it hardest. 12 reps for this exercise. Now, step 2 is shoulders up. Easiest way to perform this exercise, butt in the wall, walk your legs out about a foot away from the wall, off arm rooted on the pelvis, working arm wrist neutral. You're gonna raise your arm up overhead using dumbbell resistance as tolerated. 8 reps for this exercise. Very similar setup for shoulders back, hands on the wall, walk your legs out, this time about 3 to 4 feet from the wall, off arm on the wall, working arm straight down, keeping your arm straight, extend the shoulder, hands past the glutes, hold, and then come back to the starting position. Progress with dumbbell resistance as tolerated. Same thing here, 8 reps. For shoulder stability, there's 3 different variations depending on your current level of ability. Easiest is on the wall. For all of these, the form is as follows. Weight shift to the opposite shoulder, tap the shoulder, and repeat for each side, forcing you to remain stable on one arm. You can increase the difficulty by lowering the angle, like on a bench, and make it hardest in a push-up position. Same exact thing, weight shift, tap, forcing your shoulders and core to remain stable. 12 taps each arm. Now for shoulder pull, there's 3 different variations depending on equipment, not necessarily intensity. Pulling in a row from a barbell, pulling from above in a pull-up, or pulling with a dumbbell in a row. For a bodyweight row, easiest would be feet on the ground, grip the bar, assist with your feet, and hold at the top, lowering down to what you can control. Harder, 1 leg on the ground. Hardest, no legs on the ground. Whichever variation you choose, just make sure that you can hold for 3 seconds at the top for 8 total reps. Similar mentality for the pull-up. Do whatever you can, either with bench assistance on 2 legs or 1 leg, so that you can perform 8 total reps with a 3-second hold at the top position for every single rep. Again, once you do that for 1 variation, you can ditch the leg and go for the next one, and then even do completely unassisted when ready. Now for a dumbbell row, I like to reach across on a stable surface to root the scapula down, opening up the leg on the same side so that when I reach down, I'm getting full stretch of my rhomboids before I come and hold to the top. Again, 3-second hold before coming back down. Make this one easier with no weight or even less bend as needed. Next is shoulder push. There's 3 different variations depending on equipment, not necessarily intensity. Pushing from the floor in a full range push-up, pushing from a bar in a full range dip, or pushing a weight from a bench. For full range push-up, putting dumbbells on top of weight plates helps you to get more depth as you go down. Shoulders, hips, knees, ankles in a straight line, lower down. End goal is elbows past torso. Pause for 3 seconds in the bottom position and then come back to the top. Make this movement easier by doing so from the knees. Make it harder by extending one leg at a time, and then finally both legs. For pushing up from a bar, torso nice and vertical, extend at the top, flexing all the way down into your elbows, get past your shoulders, and then press back up to the top position. 3-second hold at the bottom before coming up. Make this easier by using assistance with the feet, ditch one foot to make it harder, and use no feet to make it hardest. You can also press from an incline bench, elbows past torso in the bottom position, hold for 3 seconds before coming up to the top position. I'm not supinated, I'm not pronated, I'm just neutral, and I'm coming down to the bottom, elbows past torso, fists right across the shoulders before pressing up. Make it easier with less weight. You can even just use body weight if you're particularly weak or in pain. Again, for all of these, 8 reps with a 3-second hold in the bottom position. Step 7 has 3 different variations that will alternate each week. Control down with the trap 3 raise, control across with the power raise, and control rotation with the dumbbell external rotation. I'm going to overlay the current videos I have for each of those exercises. Split stance if using an incline. If you do have a back extension, feel free to put both legs inside. Your head is in line with your torso. Arms are going to go straight up and out at around 45 degrees. Fight the fall coming down. 1, 2, 3. Retract at the bottom and extend to the top. Progress with greater loading. Or regress by working one arm at a time. The trap 3 raise is a foundational movement for the shoulders. Low trap strength is crucial to ensure effective force transfer from the back to the shoulder. This is the shoulder motor. Split stance, use the opposite leg in front for the split stance. Wrap the opposite arm around. Make sure your torso is stiff. You're resisting rotation and you're fighting the fall of the shoulder across the torso. Increase challenge with greater loading. Decrease challenge with less loading. So long range of the rhomboids will help increase scapulohumeral efficiency, which will increase power output and volitional control of all the muscles of the shoulder. Thigh up on bench, off hand down, stabilize, get your shoulder up to 90 degrees of abduction, 90 degrees of elbow flexion, pin the elbow on the inside of the knee, root the hand down, slightly protract, and fight the fall down. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Control, use no momentum coming up, completely just forearm and upper arm rotation. A common mistake is to use momentum when you come up so that the knee comes out. And another common mistake is to lose the tension too early and let gravity take you down. Progress with more weight. Regress with less weight. Long range loading of the shoulder external rotators will ensure that your shoulder can create stability in an inherently unstable position. This ensures that the muscles that keep your shoulder literally glued together are resilient and won't leak power transferred from the scapula, from the thoracic spine, from the lats, and onto your shoulder. Think of this as pumping up your shoulder tires if all of the muscles around the shoulder are shoulder motors. Step 8 has 2 different exercises that will alternate each week: biceps on a bench and biceps in the air. I'll overlay the video I have for biceps in the air afterwards, but biceps on a bench is a new one. Incline bench, one arm at a time, hand on the working arm shoulder, fight that fall all the way down to the bottom position, full extension, pause, and then come back up. Make it easier with less weight. You can even groove the posture with body weight if needed. Incline dumbbell hammer curl, elbows stay back. Bring your fists to your shoulders while keeping your elbows back until you break parallel. Once you break parallel, load on the elbows, incrementally decrease, so go ahead
and bring them up. Then elbows back, fight the fall, fight, 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 elbows back, elbows back, elbows back, full extension on the bottom, and explode up. Make sure you're not using momentum and making sure you're not shortening the range. Increase difficulty with more weight, and likewise decrease the difficulty with less weight. These movements are respectively like the Nordic of the forearm, the incline hammer curl for the front. This will improve long range of the elbow to ensure greater protection in overhead activity and more effective force transfer from hand to shoulder. Step 9 also has 2 different exercise variations that will alternate each week: triceps on a bench and triceps in the air. Triceps on a bench I will also overlay from a prior video of mine, but triceps in the air is a new one. Here's how you do it. Grab a dumbbell set up by the wall. Off arms, hands on the wall, walk your legs back until you're about 5 to 6 feet from the wall. You just want to have a little bit of an incline. Extend the opposite arm's leg back. Extend the working arm shoulder back, but with an elbow bend, and then extend the elbow from that position, coming back to the bottom. French press is the exact opposite of the incline dumbbell hammer curl. What you're going to do is get on a bench, and instead of keeping your elbows back, you're going to keep your elbows up. And the same thing, we're going to get our fists to our shoulders, fighting that fall, fighting that fall, fighting that fall, getting all the way down to full range and exploding up. What we don't want to do on this motion is lose the elbows when you get down. Keep those elbows up as you come down, which will put maximal load onto the triceps and the elbow tendons, and making sure you pause at the bottom and explode up. Make sure your shoulders are at a width that you can get that full range. If you're too narrow, you're going to hit yourself. If you're too wide, you're going to get more shoulders just a little bit so that you can get all the way down. Simply progress with more loading, or regress with less loading. The last few are very, very simple. Grab a dumbbell, rest your forearm on your leg so that your wrist can fully extend, and then fully flex at the top, 20 reps. Same setup for wrist extension, but this time use a lighter dumbbell. Forearm on the thigh so your wrist can fully flex before coming up into extension, 20 reps. Get some sort of hand gripping device and rep it out for 20 reps. And then set up on a bench, torso nice and vertical, off arms, forearm rooted on the bench. Walk your working arm out till you feel a light stretch underneath the hand. Fall on the wrist, elbows up, and flex the hand all the way up, bending the neck to increase the stretch as necessary. Keep the neck neutral to decrease the stretch, and decrease the extension in the fingers to decrease the stretch as well. On the ATG Science Shoulder Lab, you'll run through this twice per week, Tuesday and Thursday, through the ATG online training app, an asynchronous training platform costing less than $2 a day, where you get me as your personal form coach for everything. This is also how I train my group training Shoulder Lab classes, in person and virtually through the Youngstown Knee Lab, a $20 group training class of 5 people max that I hold in Boardman, Ohio, or through Zoom. Links for all these resources can be found in the description. I hope it helps. Here's your greater pursuit of truth.